Hello guys, it is me Parksy here, and today I'm going to be doing a video that was quite highly requested by you guys. So I decided that I'll do this into different parts, a different series about one of the main things that have been going on right now in my channel. So if you guys do not know what a draft league is, it basically revolves a lot of different tiers or a lot of different formats you can do it. You can have tiered, you can have free, you can have point system, and basically what you do is you draft around 11 or 12 Pokemon, put them onto your team, and every single week you go against your opponent. Now it's a similar way to standard play in the fact that things like Sleep Claws and Moody Claws are a thing. However, it means that you can run a lot more, I guess, tech for your opponents because you can run a lot more coverage moves. Say, for example, if your opponent has something that's 4 times weak to ice, you can then run Hidden Power Ice in your Pokemon to take advantage of that. But today we are going to be talking about entry hazards or hazards in Pokemon. So there are 4 different types of entry hazards that you need to know. The first one being Stealth Rock, the second one being Toxic Spikes, the third one being Spike, and the last one being Sticky Webs. So of course, not every single Pokemon in the entire game gets all 4 entry hazards, or else that would be broken as heck. The only Pokemon that actually gets all 4 entry hazards is this stupid son of a. So with that little unplanned rage moment, let's get into the video. So the first hazard we'll be going through is Stealth Rocks. Now what you guys need to know about Stealth Rocks is it is the most common entry hazard you can get on Pokemon. So you should be aiming for about 2 or 3 Pokemon that can learn Stealth Rocks on your team in Draft League. Any Draft League scenario, Stealth Rocks are amazing because they do guarantee chip damage to everything. They break multi-scale, they break sturdy, and they also negate focus sashes. It also forces your opponents on some occasions to remove hazards, but we'll be getting to that in a second. So, as you guys know, we have got probably some of the best Stealth Rock setters in the game up here. But Stealth Rock, again, is a very good move, considered by many to be the best entry hazards, again, because unlike all the other 3 I'm going to be going through, Stealth Rock affects every single Pokemon. I can do up to 50%. So as you see from this diagram, Stealth Rocks can do different amount of damage. It basically matters on how weak a Pokemon is to rock typing altogether. So for example, if we were to take Articuno, which is a ice and flying type Pokemon, it'd be 4 times weak, therefore the original amount of damage a Pokemon will be taken from Stealth Rocks is 12.5%. Instead, since Articuno is 4 times weak times 12.5 by 4, so it's actually going to be taking 50% of Rock's damage, which can be huge because then if it does not heal, it should only have 2 switch-ins. However, if you have a Pokemon that is a ground and fighting type, or I guess I should say steel and fighting type, because I don't know if there's actually any ground or fighting types in the game, but for a steel and fighting type Pokemon, it would only take around 3% from Stealth Rocks, obviously because it's times 12.5 by 1/4, so it's going to be dealing a very low amount of damage. So this Pokemon are the best versus Stealth Rocks, but as you guys can see, Stealth Rocks affects every single Pokemon in the game. So next up we have got Spikes. Now Spikes is quite an important hazard because unlike every other hazard, it can be stacked to 3 layers, doing increasing damage with every single spike stack. Unfortunately, Spikes cannot affect levitating Pokemon or Pokemon of the flying type Pokemon, so that previously mentioned Articuno can avoid those spikes and take no damage whatsoever. So spikes are a bit interesting, and for you guys that are a bit more technical or mathematic, you probably appreciate this bit of knowledge. But spikes, first layer spikes, so the first time that you set up a spike will do 12.5 to any non-flying or levitating type Pokemon. The next spike will do 16.6% of damage, and the next one will do 25%. So if you are setting up 3 layers of spikes versus an opponent that is not flying or levitating, then that will mean they're going to be taking 25% every time they switch in, and of course if they're not on an air balloon. So next up we've got Toxic Spikes, which basically retain spikes and what they basically do, except by adding 1 or 2 different curveballs into the mix. So like Spikes, Toxic Spikes, they do not affect levitating, flying type Pokemon, or like the previously mentioned Pokemon floating on an Tox Spikes, unlike Spikes, can only be stacked to 2 layers, and these 2 layers do different things. It's debated whether 1 layer of Tox Spikes is actually better than two layers of Tox Spikes because of certain different mathematical issues, especially in Draft League. So Toxic Spikes can be incredibly detrimental to the team, but unfortunately, Toxic Spikes can also be absorbed by Poison type Pokemon. So if you set up Toxic Spikes, you set up 2 layers, and your opponent has a Poison type Pokemon, they switched in, and they unfortunately will be taking Toxic Spikes away from the field on the opponent's side of the field. Hence, meaning that no other Pokemon on your opponent's side of the field can actually be poisoned by these Toxic Spikes unless you get them back up again. But as I said previously, Toxic Spikes inflict poison. If you set up 1 layer of Toxic Spikes, it deals 12% every single turn, dealing a type 1 type of poison, which is in the game. But Toxic Spikes inflict a type 1 type of poison in 1 layer, and for 2 layers, Toxic Spikes inflict 6% every single turn, but increase by 6%. So do 6% the first turn, 12% the next turn, 18% the third turn, 24% the fourth turn, but this does take into consideration your opponent's Pokemon is still on the field. If they swap out, then the whole process will repeat again. It'll be 6, 12, 18, and 24. And there's a common misconception that they need to be, like, if Toxic Spikes are removed, then that means that they will suddenly lose their poison. No, if your opponent touches Toxic Spikes at all, and your opponent does not use like a cleric move like Heal Bell or Room of Therapy, then they will not get that poison off. So that can be incredibly useful. So as I said previously, it's been debated whether 1 layer of Toxic Spikes or 2 layers of Toxic Spikes is actually useful, because you have to consider that it takes twice the amount of time to set up 2 layers of Toxic Spikes, and in Draft League most Pokemon only stay in for about 2 to 3 turns, so at the best you're probably just about making the exact same trade-off as you would be if you set up 1 layer of Toxic Spikes. Also, it sucks a lot harder if your opponent removes them or if they absorb them with their poison type Pokemon. So next up, we have got Sticky Web users, and these are the final Pokemon that can set up hazards. Now, Sticky Web is an interesting hazard. It's something that is kind of hit or miss. It's either it works out very well or it doesn't. I personally don't use Sticky Webs that often because I find it quite bad, especially because quite a few Pokemon in Draft League format cost so many points, or they take up a really high tier if they have Sticky Webs. And just to have a sash in a Pokemon, get a hit down to its sash, set up Sticky Webs, and then maybe get off like 50% of damage does not really seem like a good trade-off that I want to do. Plus also Sticky Webs can be removed by hazard removal, which I will be talking about in just a second. But Sticky Webs are interesting in the fact that, of course, they don't affect Pokemon on air balloon, levitating, or that are flying, but they can remove an opponent's speed and make it 0.6 times the amount it was, basically minusing its speed stat by 1. So Sticky Webs can be useful if you're trying to run hyper offense. You really want to make sure your opponent cannot outspeed you. But apart from that, if you're running a bit more of a bulkier team, I really would not suggest drafting Sticky Webs in the Draft League format. So next up, we have got hazard removal, and there are 2 types of hazard removal: Rapid Spin and Defog. The first one that we're going to be doing through is Rapid Spin. So of course Rapid Spin isn't really that strong of a move. It only does 20 base power and it's a normal type move, so it's not really going to be super effective against anything. It's not going to hit very hard at all. The main focus of this move is that it can remove hazards, and not only can it remove hazards, but it can remove hazards only on your side of the field. So if you and your opponent set up Stealth Rocks, then you can remove Stealth Rocks on your side of the field that can maybe hurt your Pokemon, but your opponent's Stealth Rocks will still stay up on their side of the field, so that can be useful for chipping down their Pokemon still and forcing them to remove their hazards. Rapid Spin is less common than the next type of hazard removal, which will be Defog, and very few Pokemon actually get it, so you should be aiming probably only get 1 or 2 spinners. If you're very lucky, you can only get really 1 or 2 spinners in Draft League on your team. Most teams usually just rely on defoggers, but Rapid Spin is good because, as I said previously, it keeps up your hazards you set up but removes your opponent's hazards. However, there is a downside to Rapid Spin. Not only do very few Pokemon get it, but there are also Pokemon in the game that are Ghost type. And if you guys do not know about type effectiveness, I do not know why you're watching this video, but Basically, normal types do not affect ghost types, and rapid spin is a normal type move, hence meaning that if you can switch a ghost type in on a predicted rapid spin, you can in fact block a rapid spin, and your hazards will still keep up against your opponent. So that can be quite unfortunate, and hence why many ghost types in the game have been called spin blockers. Gengar being one of the best spin blockers in the game, as I'm showing you right now. But rapid spin, especially if you've got a ghost type on your team, will often make your opponent think twice about clicking rapid spin, and often people have to remove the ghost type to even have a chance to try and remove their hazards safely. So yeah, so we have got defoggers up next, and unlike rapid spin, there are plenty of defoggers in the game. There were in Sun and Moon, but since Ultra Sun and Moon released Move Tuners, there are new Pokemon like Landorus right here that got access to Defog, and really has boosted their viability a lot because now they can run Defog in draft league formats. As I said previously, you should be aiming for about 2 Defoggers in your team. That's really not that hard to aim for, considering you probably will draft a Pokemon and your reaction will probably be, oh, nothing gets Defog, I never knew that. So that's literally how common Defog is. It's been given to so many Pokemon in the game. I mean, there's things like Florges, there's things like Serperior, a flippin' snake that apparently poops out things to remove its hazards. However, this type of hazard removal also comes with its disadvantage, and Defog removes all hazards on the field. So that means that if you set up rocks and your opponent set up rocks, you'll be removing both hazards. So that means that those spikes and rocks you might have taken that turns to set up, unfortunately, going to have to be tossed away into the dark abyss. So defog, it's good if you are running very few hazards in your team, but if you're running a hazard stacking team, probably stick to rapid spin and just pray your opponent isn't very good at switching in their ghost types against you on your rapid spins. So that is the end of the video, guys. If you did enjoy it, make sure to go leave a like, drop a subscription with the notification bell on. It takes a quick second and helps me out a lot. And also comment down below. I would appreciate that a lot. If you guys want to see any other maybe tips or lessons on helping you in your draft league. So thanks, guys, for watching this video yet again, and goodbye.